Hey there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be setting up for March. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay guys, I'm ready to dive into setting up my March. I usually set these up a few days or like a week or so before the month, so I have a little bit of time. But today is February 28th because I just got back from vacation and I want to get this all set up and ready to go before March starts tomorrow. So you'll probably be watching this if you watch this when it first goes live on March 2nd. So right after I set it up, and it's kind of nice setting it up right when it's about to start because I don't have to worry about like, oh, what else am I going to write in February or what else am I going to accomplish, because the answer is nothing. So today I'm going to set up my Hobonichi Cousin, so I'm using the Avec system. So this is book 1 and I'm 2 months in it. So it's already getting a little bit of chunk. I'm so happy I'm in the Avec because it's just so much more pleasant to write in it when it's not chunky. And I'm already starting to feel that. So the main thing I'm going to do in here is set up my vision board for March, and I will also set up my monthly calendar. I have a bit to do on my February one. I haven't filled in my vacation yet, but I'm not going to work on that today. I'm going to work on setting up March and getting this ready to go for my monthly spread. The rest of this is pretty much in time documentation, so I don't do anything at the beginning of the month. I'm also going to set up my 2 functional planners. I have the Take-A-Note A5 and I have a Hobonichi Weeks. The Hobonichi Weeks, I primarily use the monthly calendars, and I've already set up most of it in here just because this is my future planning, and this is the thing I carry with me everywhere. I use it as reference, and I'm going to use it as reference to set this one up. The weekly spreads and notes pages are just kind of fill things in as I go, just anything because I carry this with me. So if I have anything comes up, any notes, something, I'll write it in here to transfer to where it needs to go later. This is kind of like my just random sticky note pad, right? That I just have with me for whatever I need. There's not a ton of setup to do in there because I already did a lot of the setup, but I will set that one up. And in here, I'm going to do my monthly setup. This is my functional planner. However, because I do future planning, I am going to actually be setting up March in terms of like my task list and everything, but I'm going to set up April. So because right now April is blank and you can see March is set up here, so I could start like writing in appointments and things as I'm looking into it in February. So I'm actually going to do my April stickers and my March like functional filling in appointments and things like that. I also have my craft planner, and the main thing I set up in here is my monthly trackers. So here are my February trackers, and these are the projects that I want to complete and what I did, and my tracking of products in and out. So I am done scrapbooking for the month, so I can go ahead and total these and set up my March one in here. So I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to start with my vision board. Actually, I think I'll start with these because they are the quickest, and then I will do the vision board, and then I will do the craft planner. I believe that's the order I want to do. However, I will put timestamps down in the description box below, so if you don't want to see all of the setups, you can go ahead and skip ahead to where that one is in the video. Okay, so I'm starting with my functional planners, and I kind of said this already, but I've already sort of set up March, and I'm really working on setting up April as far as stickers go, because during the month of March, I will fill in April as I schedule events in my planner. So my Hobonichi Weeks, I did add the holidays and that type of stuff in advance for the entire year, and vacations and anything that I have planned in advance are already in my Hobonichi Weeks. And that is because sometimes I plan things more than a month out. So I have vacations planned as far out as October, And sometimes other things come up. So maybe I have to make a dentist appointment, and those are usually like 6 months out or something like that. So this planner is the one I carry with me. So I will be able to see all the way to the end of the year to see what is available, like what dates I have things scheduled already. But I'm adding just the headers for April with the stickers from the Coffee Monster Co. sticker kits. I purchased the ones for the Hobonichi Weeks and the ones for the Hobonichi Cousin. So in my Take-A-Note, you can see April is completely blank. And that's because I don't plan ahead in here the same way I do in my Hobonichi Weeks. I just do 1 month in advance. So I pulled over my commonplace book here because I have this printout from the Coffee Monster Co. from Helen that says which markers go with which kit. So I was selecting a color to go with the April colors from the kit. So I used this mild liner that she suggested, and I had to test it out on that paper there because the mild liners don't actually have names written on them, so I had to kind of guess and see if that was the right one, but I believe it was because the color matched really well. And then I'm adding my stickers. So this is the Hobonichi Cousin kit, and I'm using the Take-A-Note. So these don't fit perfectly in here. I am not sure if Helen recommends a different set to go in the Take-A-Note, but I'm making this one work, and really the only thing I have to adjust are the headers for the days of the week. These holiday ones fit pretty well. They're slightly big for the dates, but they're fine for me. I'm adding all of the holidays in, and I'm using my weeks off, that's slightly off camera there, as a guide for what I need to fill in for April. I honestly don't have that much scheduled in April. February was a super busy month because I was traveling, and May I am going to be traveling again. So March and April I'm hoping are going to be a little bit quieter with a lot of time at home. I like to travel a lot, but I am really a homebody at heart. So I like to have weekends without any plans. That's kind of my favorite. So I have a lot of that coming up, hopefully. And I will end up filling this in as I plan things and get events scheduled. But for now, I'm just setting it up so that I have the basic page ready. So for April, what I'm doing is I'm adding the days of the week headers. I added the little icon at the top. I added that little banner to the left-hand column, which is going to be for my tracking for the month for chores around the house. But I am going to actually fill it in for March now, not April, because it's not April yet. So this is my March plan with me because this is me planning for the month of March, but part of that is setting up April because I will do a lot of April planning in March. Hopefully that makes sense. But some of the more specific things I'm planning for March because that is really where I am. I also got the washi tape, coordinated washi tape strips from the Coffee Monster Co. And I'm adding those along the bottom of the page. So I was just kind of looking back on how I did it in the previous ones. And these strips, again, are not the right length for the Take-A-Note. I'm not sure if they do fit in the Cousin or if they're just like longer than any planner so that they would work for pretty much any size. But I'm just kind of working them together. I apologize that that part is off camera, but you get the gist of what I'm doing. I'm trying to zoom it in a bit more so you can see more closely what I'm doing on my spread. But when I do that, then I have less room on the desk that shows up in camera. So it's harder to keep everything in frame. So I'm just writing in the couple of appointments that I have. I leave the bottom row of each date empty, so you can see I didn't put stickers or anything in that bottom row because what I will put in that bottom row is my work schedule. So that's where I put if I am out of the office, if it's a holiday. I have past days every other Friday, which means I don't work those days, so I just put those ones in. I'm highlighting with gray, and you can see kind of how I did that in February. When I have days off, it's highlighted gray in that spot. If I'm telecommuting, I write TC on there. And that just kind of tells me where I am for work all of the weekdays at a quick glance just on that first bottom line. For this left-hand column, I'm writing in my tasks. I went back to my annual calendar page because that is where I have the annual these are chores that I have to do. So the annual chores that I do once a year, I have kind of set them up to schedule some for certain months. And so I'm writing in the ones that I plan to do in March. Now, These are ambitious goals. I am not the best at cleaning. My house is not messy or dirty, but I don't clean as often as I would like. So some of the times these things don't get done, especially in February because I was traveling for half the month. I wasn't here, so I didn't get through everything on that list. I also believe I did a few things and forgot to check them off. So I'm probably going to go back and try to figure out if I did them and when to fill them in. But essentially what I do is I create a bullet point using the zig dot marker before every item on this list. And then if I do it, I write in the number of the day that I do it. So like if I did something on March 3rd, I would write a 3 on that dot. And that's how I know when the last time was I cleaned something, because I can tell very easily from looking at the list. If it's not marked off at all, then that means I haven't cleaned it. So my goal is to do all of these in the month. Most of these are cleaning. Some of them are other tasks like cleaning out my inbox and that type of thing. But it is an ambitious list and I don't get through everything. And honestly, some of these things don't actually need to be cleaned every month. But I like to have them on the list because that is like the goal. I have thought about this a lot. Sometimes I feel like people want their task list to be more manageable. So to keep the list shorter and have less tasks on it so that it is something that's achievable. And for me, I like to have my task list be kind of like the best case scenario. So if I am checking everything off, then that means that I probably could have put more things on the list. I also like to have options. So for cleaning, not so much, but for like crafts, when I write out the projects I want to work on, I will put more projects than I could possibly do on my list so we have options. So at the bottom there, I created that square and I'm adding just one of the little washi stickers from the Coffee Monster Co. at the top. It's so that it looks like it's kind of like a sticky note taped on. And this is where I write tentative plans. And so if I tentatively schedule something, I will write it in that box rather than putting on the calendar because I don't want to cross things out. And that way I have it for reference as I'm planning things. The last thing I'm going to do on here is write in what I'm using for Project Life. So I have my Project Life tracker from my craft planner, which is in a Hobonichi Day-Free, also the A5 size. And I'm just writing in this right box next to each week what kit I'm planning on using, because I just want that for reference as I'm living my life, because sometimes I will want to grab pictures or specific ephemera to fit with that kit. And just having it in multiple places and multiple planners helps keep that at front of mind. I also will put it in my Hobonichi Cousin, just so that I have it there in my mind as I'm living the week if I want to collect specific things for it. So that is going to wrap up my planning for the month. And so that's a pretty simple setup. I don't do anything on the weekly spreads in advance for the month. I will set them up during the week. So now I'm going to go ahead and move on to my vision board. I'm going to go ahead and flip through some magazines and work on this. I will put this on fast forward with more music, but I will pop in as I have things to say. I've shared about my process for cutting things out of magazines in previous videos, but I'm just going to briefly share my thoughts. And generally, basically what I do is I'm cutting out things for multiple projects at once. So I don't want to flip through the same magazine more than once, although sometimes I do, but usually I try to do like a one and done flip through of magazines because this can be very time consuming. So when I'm flipping through magazines, I'm looking through for a few things. One are words that I can use on my vision board or in my journal in general. The second one are little images that I can use in my journal. So usually those are for the calendar spread. So I need them to be small enough to fit on a day square in the calendar page on the Hobonichi Cousin, but sometimes I will include some larger photos and images from magazines on my actual daily pages. And then the third thing I'm looking for are full page photos that work as backgrounds for vision boards or just other projects, but usually for vision boards. And that's what that stack is on the left behind my page. And then the last thing I'm looking for are alphabets. So I do cut out alphabet letters that I like to use to write certain words. And I have been planning to create a reel about that for quite a while, but you will see it in a little bit popping up on here, my box that I store all of those letters in, and I will use it to write out the name of the month. So I will cut out letters as I'm flipping through magazines that are about the right size that I like to collect and are fonts that I find interesting. And I'm also always looking for the letters that I'm running out of. J is always the most prized letter because it is used a lot in what I use the alphabets for, like writing the months. So in June, July, January, I'll have J's, but there's not a lot of J's out there, so it's really hard to find. Okay, so I have gotten some questions and requests to kind of share a little bit about how I store my magazine clippings. And right now I have them in a tray. I have them sorted in a few different categories, but I think I definitely need more of those. So I am working on redoing that organization, and I plan to share a video with you guys once I get it kind of finalized and in a format that I like. I will share that video. So look for that probably in the spring, maybe in the summer, depending on when I get to it. I have so many things that I want to share with you guys and make for YouTube, but only so much time. I try to do 3 videos per week, which I have actually been pretty good at doing, but it still takes a lot of time to do them, and I have more ideas than 3 per week. So narrowing down what I'm going to do is really hard for me, but that is one that you can expect to be coming. So I am working on it, or at least thinking about it at this point, to share kind of my whole process for magazine clippings in general in a video. So I'm still just flipping through these magazines, and I'm also kind of reading them as I go. Sometimes I read the magazines when they first come in and then go through them again to flip through them. But honestly, you guys, I purchased the magazines primarily to cut them up. I do like to read some of the articles, and I get some of the recipes and things I do find value in. But usually I'm flipping through them for the first time when I'm cutting them out. So I will find a few things sometimes that catch my eye. And you'll see as I'm doing this, I'm adding some sticky notes onto some of the pages because those are ones that are articles I want to come back to and read in more detail rather than pausing while I'm working on this project. Okay, so at some point, I always decide I'm ready to just dive into making my vision board. There is not really any rule as far as when I decide I'm ready. It's just kind of when I've gone through the magazines in my stack, or I'm like getting bored with flipping through magazines and wanting to just get it put together. The first step to putting my vision board together is to select a background image. So I like to build my vision board on top of an image because that way there's a lot of gaps kind of shining through the words and different things. And it's not going to be just the plain white page behind it. Instead, it's going to be my image from the vision of my image that I have selected. So I have some of those pages I had previously got, some I just pulled out today, and I narrowed it down to 3, and then I narrowed it down to these 2, and I really loved both of these. I really struggled to pick one. I really loved the colors of them. They felt like the vibe I was going for this month, and I decided to go with this one of the girl balancing on this tightrope because it looked kind of springy with her outfit and the sky being blue. And it just looked pretty calming. And I also wanted it because it had a lot of space to add words on top, because I'm going to be building my vision board on top of this piece of paper. The other one was very pretty, but it was busier. And I felt like it would work when I didn't want to add a ton of words. And for some reason this month, I was really feeling adding all of the words on here. So you'll see as that comes together. I'm going to adhere this down, and then the next step is going to be to pull over some white washi tape from my stash. I will link my favorite white washi tape for you guys in the description box below, but you can really use any washi tape that you have. But essentially, I'm going to use this along the edge here to adhere this down, and that's because this is in a bound book. And that paper that I stuck down the image goes close to the edge there. And if you don't add washi tape, when you turn the pages, it's going to get kind of stuck and fold up, and it's just going to be a little bit less smooth. So I highly recommend putting washi tape over the edge if you're going to go up towards the edge of the page. Here you can see my alphabet organizer I was talking about earlier, and this is where I have all of my alpha pieces that I have cut out of magazines. I have linked some options for one of these in the description box below if you are interested in purchasing your own. I have just a box, section for each letter of the alphabet and some for numbers and symbols. When you're picking one, if you don't want to use one of the ones for my links, if you want to just find one that you have, I highly recommend, well, first you need to make sure it has enough sections for all of the letters of the alphabet, but then I also highly recommend making sure it has one that does not have movable dividers. A lot of those trays do have movable dividers, and that is good if you are organizing something larger than magazine clippings, but magazine clippings are small, and if it has removable dividers, they will go underneath the dividers and they will get all mixed up. So you're going to need one that has dividers that do not move. Hopefully that makes sense. I had cut this word March out of a magazine a long time ago, probably last March, and never used it. So I decided to use that as my title here on my monthly spread. So I switched off of my vision board and I'm working on the monthly calendar, setting this up. I just do a little bit of setup here and I put this together as the month goes on, but I wanted to add some washi. So I had this one of like all these chores and things. It's a new one from the Coffee Monster Co. that I really like. And I put that along the bottom, and then I wanted to put something along the top. So I was trying to see what would coordinate. And then I remembered that I purchased a brand new washi tape when I was in Dubai, and I wanted to use that on the spread. It doesn't go perfectly with that one, but I was really excited to use this and I really loved the colors. So I went for it anyways. And then I tried to think of ways that I can kind of tie it into that washi tape at the bottom. I do have some basic washi tapes that are just basic colors. I picked up a set on Amazon, which I will link in the description box below if you are interested in picking up some basic washi tape. I like having these because it's really easy to kind of coordinate. So I pulled in the purple, and that's going to kind of help coordinate the colors between this top section and the bottom. It is a little bit bolder at the top, but I do really like how it came together, and I think that spread's going to be super fun once it's put together at the end of the month. Now I'm moving back to my vision board, and the next step is to find all of the words that I want to put on my spread. So I have that pile to the right there that are the ones that I cut out today, but now I'm going through all of the ones that I've previously cut out to see which ones I want to include on this spread.
So this is my March vision board. So I'm thinking, what are the themes I want for March? What am I looking for, hoping for, wanting to do this month? Where's my focus? Where do I want to focus my attention, my energy, like all of those things. So what am I thinking? What is the vibe or the feel I want for the month? And so I'm going through all of these words and selecting the ones that are fitting what I want to focus on. Most of these words are things that I want to do at some point. Some of them are seasonal or things that just don't really fit, but a lot of them could be chosen, but I'm not choosing them because I don't have space for all of these words on this page, which is kind of the same as I don't have space for all of these things in my month. A month is not that much time, and I can't focus on everything all at once. So I'm really just pulling out the things I want to prioritize. And I just traveled in February, as I mentioned. So for March, I'm prioritizing like slower pace and being at home more and those types of things. So you can see that in the words that I am selecting. I'm also going through this smaller tray where I have just put some of the smaller words that I have, and I'm using these ones. I just have these separated from those larger ones just because it's easier to go through them. And sometimes I'm looking for smaller words rather than larger ones. You can see I switched out that happy for a smaller one just so I had more space to include more words because, like I said, I felt like including a lot on this spread. So I'm going to finish going through all of these, and then I'm going to go ahead and start adhering them down.
Okay, so I actually took a break in the middle of setting up March because it got to be dinner time. So it's now the next morning. It's actually March 1st now. So I'm going to go ahead and put this aside because this one is done. And the only thing I have left to do is my craft planner. So it is actually already March, so I can go ahead and fill in my month end things here. And then I can go ahead and set up my March. I picked out a color scheme for March that I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use a brown pen from Sarasa Clip, and it's from like their vintage collection. I'm gonna use this tan mild liner, this blue sign brush Ritex pen. This is from the vintage collection, and this is a Zig dot marker. I don't know, it's called grayish green. So I just wanted to do a different color scheme for March. So I went and picked that out. I also want to kind of rearrange this a little. I feel like this is maybe a little more cluttered than I want. So I'm going to think about how I'm going to do that. Maybe just shift this header over. We'll see. But I do like how this is coming together. I'm going to just talk through this a little bit. So these are new stamps that I purchased or were sent to me. So I actually got 9 new stamp sets in February. So in the year so far, I've gotten 20 new stamp sets. So this is for my stamp catalog system. Unfortunately, I did not work on it at all in February. So these are all big zeros. And that just kind of tells me I'm not really working on this at this point. And I need to kind of prioritize that in March. So I might work on that some later today. So this is my unlabeled stamps. So these are new stamps that have come into my system that I have not yet labeled. So I had 46, I got 9 new ones. So I need to add those together. So that gives me 55 stamps. And that's a lot of stamps that I have there unlabeled. And normally I would not purchase this many stamps. I get a lot of stamps sent to me because I'm on some creative teams, and that's why this number grows so fast. But this is telling me I really need to work on my catalog system so that I can use these stamps, because I have 55 stamp sets sitting there that are either unopened or just not in my system at all. And I do use some of them because they're new and it's kind of in the front of my mind, but I want them to be worked into my system. So looking over here at my goals, I did actually finish the 3 of these Project Life spreads. These ones, I thought maybe I would do those yesterday when I got back from my vacation. I didn't get to them, but that's okay. I'm going to maybe work on one of those this morning today. I did do this, and I did do this. So my Cocoa Daisy stuff is done. I had a Hubman and Chub Girl collaboration that's done. I have a blog post I need to do for Allie Edwards. I have not yet done that, so I'm going to work on that in March. I'm going to put that on my March list. Traditional layouts. I made 3 layouts this month. I wanted to do a lot more. I didn't, but you have to remember for February, I was gone for half of the month and was not in my craft space. So this was still pretty successful. Then for my craft room redo, I did not purchase a comfy chair. I'm still looking for that. I didn't do really any of this. These were all things that were kind of on my list. I put them here. I wanted to do them. I knew it was probably not going to happen, so I'm okay with that. Then I need to go back to my annual goals. Let's find that. Okay, so in February, I did do pretty well on this. I'm going to also check off bullet layout backlog. I really only put together 3, but that's okay. I did not get anything done for that. So let me also look here. So I did paint my walls. I did that in January. I've been working on my daily journal, great. But I'm only going to check things off here if they're like done. So a lot of these are never really going to be checked off, like YouTube channel content. I'm always working on that. But it's just nice to have this like visualization, because I'm also thinking about what are my March priorities going to be, but I'll go back to that in a minute. So that, well, actually I did finish these. So let me make my priorities here for March. And you can see I did, February was green. And if you missed my intro video, I have a video where I set up my goals for the year on this page. So you can definitely check that one out if you want to see that. Sorry if this was off camera. But the green ones are the months that I'm traveling, so I'm not going to be in my craft room as much. So let me see. Here, my craft room redo is going to be a top priority. And my 2025 project life is always kind of a top priority. And traditional layouts. I just have a lot of layouts that I need to work on that have been planned. I do want to get started on one of these travel albums, but I'm thinking I might do that more in April when my craft room redo is a little bit further along and I have just a little more mental space and physical space to work on something like that. So I have 4 travel albums I want to complete this year. Europe was from last summer. I have Dubai and Doha, which was the vacation I was just on and just got back from. And then the Pacific Northwest and Spain and Morocco, I have not yet taken those trips. That's these 2 trips. So I'm not really focused on those ones at all. I'm trying to decide if I want to do Dubai and Doha first before Europe, and I might, just because I think it's fresher on my mind, but it's also going to be quicker because it was a shorter trip. I only went to 3 cities. I took a day trip to Abu Dhabi. In Europe, I went to 5 cities, so that's like a big album. That's going to be a 10 by 8. Dubai and Doha, I think it's going to be a 6 by 8. So I might work on that one. I'm not sure yet, but that's going to be something I do in April. So I think that is good. Now let me go back here. So through my project life cards. Okay, so this was actually a really good month for supplies. And part of that was I only got a very few amount of kits this month because Ellie Edwards switched to the quarterly kits. I only got the Stories by the Month kit and some stamps from her this month, so it wasn't a ton. And because of just the timing of when my Cocoa Daisy kits came, I already got my April one in January. I haven't gotten my May one yet. So I didn't get any in February, which kind of skews the numbers a little because that means that my March one's probably going to be more. But I was able to kind of reduce supplies. So I'm just going to kind of talk through this because I haven't done that on one of these videos before. But these are Project Life cards. So these are the 3x4 and 4x6 cards. And the different colors mean what type of cards. So whether I have 3x4, 4x6, if it's vellum, that type of thing. But when I total them, I just treat them all the same. I just like to see the colors because then I can maybe see some trends about what I'm using more than others. So I used 9 more Project Life cards this month than came in. So I had 17 more in January. So my year to date is only 8 more cards in my stash than I started the year with. And that's pretty good. Embellishments. So this is something new I started tracking this year. And so these are, let me go back to my reference page, which there's stuff on here I don't want to share, but these embellishments are stickers, washi rolls, die cuts, and chipboard. And the reason I started tracking this was because I was doing really well with my Project Life cards and papers and kits, but I saw myself buying so many stickers and washi, and part of that was I didn't have any accountability. So I'm giving myself that accountability here. So I have in and out. So for stickers, it's an entire sheet of stickers. For chipboard and die cuts, it's per piece. And for washi, it's a roll. So the washi rolls are coming in. I have to use an entire roll for it to be out. Sticker sheets, if I get a full new sticker sheet, comes in and out if I throw that sticker sheet away. Die cut and chipboard, I have to do them individually because I don't know when I've used up a sheet since I don't store them like on the sheet. And the die cuts don't come like that. So like I said, this month I didn't get any new Cocoa Daisy kits, which definitely assisted in this, these skewed numbers, but I have 20 pieces in, 73 out. I had a really high 230 pieces in January. So that brought me down to 177. So I need to work on getting that one down some more and using up more of my stash of chipboard and die cuts and all of those types of things. Then these are papers. So these are pattern papers. I have all the different sizes, 3x4. I'm not 3x4, 3x8, 6x8, 10x8, 12x12. Whatever sizes of paper come into my stash, I have a tracking system for them. So this right here, this is like a non-brand. So these you can see, these are by brand. And I do that just so I can see for myself mentally, like, am I using the brands that I'm buying? So here, I used a lot of Cocoa Daisy. And I didn't have any in, but that's because I didn't get any new kits this month. But that's a good sign I'm using those products. Same with Ali Edwards. These are here if I want to put some other brands. I don't know if I'm going to get some other brands. This was other. These were probably because I was using a variety of different brands. And so I should just write other here. But sometimes I will write in a brand. So like here I wrote in the Coffee Monster Co. for embellishments because I do get a lot from the Coffee Monster Co. So that's what that one is. So papers, I did really well this month. I used more than I brought in. So that was -6. So I'm down to 30 more papers in my stash. Not great for only 2 months in, but I'm going to work on it. And then for kits, so this is when I get a whole new kit. And then I consider the kit out when I'm just done using it and I work it into my stash and kind of break it out of the kit form. So I used 2 more kits than came in. So year to date, and I have 2 more kits stored together. I also tracked here my projects. So you can see I did, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 projects this month, which is good for a fact that I was only here for 2 weeks of the month. So I'm pretty happy with how this one came out. So I'm going to flip to this page and I'm going to put you guys on fast forward while I set up my March projects and products, kind of going through what we talked about. And I might do some voiceover. I might end up just putting music on and pop in and out as I have something to say. But hopefully this will help give you some ideas for how you can do your projects and product tracking as well.
Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thanks. Bye.